So going into this, my first artistic art inspiration for this project comes from Sheila de Bretteville. This piece is entitled "Hear Us," and it was made to represent historic women and the contributions they had made in the state of Massachusetts. Each panel has two quotes and is a broadcast of the face. And this piece is really what I'm calling my aha moment. As I was trying to explore how to represent people and the stories behind all these atrocious statistics I had been reading, I came across this work and I was really drawn to just the way the artists captured their histories and how, I don't know, the importance it makes me feel. Each unified story, but each one is diverse and each background is important. And this is something I am intending to emulate in this exhibition because though even though everyone's story is different, there are many similarities that will be noticed when reading the stories of abuse survivors. And the play on unity and variety will also be seen in the presentation of the stories. My next influence comes from Suzanne Lacey and her 3 Weeks in May project. Lacey spent 3 weeks in 1977 gathering rape reports from Los Angeles Police Department and then displayed this information in different artistic ways around LA in those 3 weeks that the exhibition ran. One of the ways that Lacey displayed this was this giant map you can see with the word rape stamped all over it. So she would get the reports and then she would go and she would paint this dark red rape stamp over the area on a massive LA map. It's 6, 8, 10 feet. I don't know. It was huge. But then she would go on top of that and do in a light color 9 more rape stamps, but they would be really light, and it was to represent the 9 that didn't get reported, even for every one rape. And this really started making me think about the grandiosity of this problem, and it's not just small and localized so much, and it's happening everywhere. And I feel like that really moved into the design of my project. She also performed this piece later in 2012, and I went to social media to gather the stories. And this really I was thinking that this is going to be my best way to get as an outlet to gather all the stories that I want for my own project. And so the next artist, who is Leslie Libowitz, she worked with Suzanne Lacey, and the original piece is called Myths About Rape. It was redone again in 2012 with Shannon Mann, and you can see here it's the ones with the sandwich boards. And what they had is myths of rape on one side, and then they would open it up and it would be a fact about rape, and it is challenging those myths and giving validity to the existence of those myths. And that is the problem that's in our culture, and why we do that, why we look at people the way we do, and why we judge victims, and why women are people that are abused are afraid to come forward. And so this piece particularly really made me really guided like the other half of the content to the exhibition, which will be myths of domestic violence. And in the exhibition, the viewer will be in a room of myths and surrounded by the outside myths of domestic violence before entering a room full of stories, full of like real life events from victims, in which I feel like are going to be the facts of domestic violence. And then my final artist that I'm going to talk about is Barbara Kruger. These are just a few pieces of hers. She addresses a range of topics: consumerism, mass media culture, domestic violence, I love all of her work. She is just one of my greatest inspirations, especially in text design and her use of space. She has the ability to create these overwhelming, consuming pieces, and she uses all of the room and the shape of the room, and when there's added architecture, she'll go along, railways, and it's just she uses all of that space and a way of enveloping the viewer. And I am currently exploring how I'm going to be using my space in the Floyd Smith Gallery. I want to envelop my viewer much like Kruger does. And if you can look in the middle photo, there is like a projection of light and text. And I'm also looking into using projection in my work, not just the text, but I'm playing with using it on the floor and using it on the walls and how it's going to fill the space as well. And then